So everything started with the release of the second block of the edition Guilds of Ravnica. The second block of this edition called Ravnica Allegiance. Ravnica Allegiance came out in the 25th of January 2019. And the thing is, in this edition, we had a pretty good card which changed everything. Basically, that card was, of course, the Electrodominance card. Electrodominance is basically an instant for X red and red, and you can deal X damage to any target, and you may also cast a card with converted mana cost of X or less from your end without paying its mana cost. So basically we can cheat with this card, 0 CMC spells. And guess what? One of our favorite 0 CMC spell I was playing was Living End. And also we can name Ancestral Vision. So I thought directly this card will be amazing. So I have to put some red in my deck. At that period I was playing only blue and after Dimir. So when I saw that card I say, okay, we have to include it. So I was thinking, will I play Grixis or will I play just Izzet? It turns out Grixis mana base was quite difficult to build and will cost a lot of lives. We already played Street Race, so I choose to play just Izzet. But why I was playing black in my deck? Because of this card. In Guild of Ravnica, first edition of the block, this card came out, Mausoleum Secrets. It's an instant for 1 and 1 black, and basically you can search for a black card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of creatures cards in your graveyard. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle the library. So basically you can get Living End in instant speeds for 2, because Living End is a black card and the CMC is 0. So even if you have no cards in your grave, you can get Living End. If you have multiple creature cards in your grave, which is gonna happen with the deck as you're cycling a bunch of cards, you can use this card like a toolbox for key cards you have in your deck. Just you have to put some black cards that you want to have in your deck. So that card was really good to play. I loved it, but that was at the period we had just a Living End plan. Like we didn't have Rhinos on that period. Nowadays we have it, but I will talk about Rhinos later in other episodes. So that card was really good, but I didn't found some space for it in the deck because I had to put all the Electrodominance in, and at that period I was playing so much other spells, so that's why I choose to go for the Izzet version. So that's what we gonna talk about now. After played a bunch of time the Dimir version I just talked about, and also in the GP side events Lille in France, I was getting ready for the GP Bilbao, and I wanted to try the ElectroEnd list, so here it is. This is the ElectroEnd list, the first one I played. And I must say, the first time I played that deck was exactly on the 6th of February 2019 in my local game store. At that period, I wasn't playing MTGO, so I was playing this deck only on paper. And I did a couple of tournaments. I mean, I did the most tournament I could to just go the best I can to the GP. Magicfest, I must say. Now, so here's the list. So this list is a bunch of 4 copies of cards. So we were playing some cyclers, things didn't change. We were playing like a 4 Creator of Mysteries. Still, nowadays, the best cycler we have because we can hardcast it, so it's by itself, it's a win condition. And the ability when he is on the board is quite good. When you discard or cycle, you can scribe 1. And this card is basically the best cycler we have in the deck. After, we still have the Street People Winder. Street People Winder is a 5/5 proof cycling for 1, you know about it. We have 3 Street Race, you know Swamp Wall can be useful sometimes. And you can cycling for 3 mana, but costs you 2 lives. With the fact that I will play Izzet, I had the Izzet Cerodon in my deck. So the Izzet Cerodon cycling for 1 red, but it's a 6/4, so that's basically a bunch of powers, but no special abilities. As we are playing Izzet, it's one of the strongest cycles we had at this period. So that's it for the cycles we played. Of course, we had 4 Electrodominance, 4 As Foretold, 4 Living End, and at that period we had 4 Ancestral Visions because no other plans that Living End, so we just have Ancestral Visions to find our things. When it comes to counter spells, we had 8 counter spells. 4 Remand, still playing for now because Remand is a key card in this deck. Basically, it when you the turn you need and draw a card. That's an all-star card in the deck. Never play no Remand in an ElectroEnd deck back in the days or right now. We had at that period, we had 4 Cryptic Command with 20 lands. We have 19 lands right now in the actual version. But I was running 4 Cryptic Command because Cryptic Command was also a way to buy us a turn and also able to bounce some annoying permanents and of course drawing some cards and countering annoying spells. So you reach the goal of having 4 mana pretty often in this deck because of the cycling. And so at that period I felt quite comfortable having 4 Cryptic Commands. Maybe sometimes I had too much in my base in my first end, but I didn't feel like it was a big issue for the deck at that period. We also playing a one-off main deck, one-off Combat Script, because at that period the meta game was really about the grave, especially with Phoenix, and also I liked to have one to face just grave decks, and also decks put some creatures in the grave. And as I had only the Living End plan, sometimes I don't want to have one creature back that I just don't want to hit. I don't want the creatures to come back with my own Living End. So we played in the mana base 2 Tolai West to be able to search for the free spells, but also for the Combat Script. And the mana base was 4 Spirable Canal, 2 Steam Vents, 4 Scalding Tarn, 2 Montaigne at that period, 4 Island, and 2 Cascade Bluffs. So that was the base of the deck, the main deck. And for sideboard, we had 4 copies of Chalice of the Void. I must avoid that we used to run 3, and I bought directly in the Magicfest Bilbao, the 4th copy. And I'm so glad I did that. You will see later. 3 copies of Fulminator Mage, not Snapcaster. Fulminator Mage, 2 copies of Anger of the God, 2 Negates, 2 Ratchet Bomb, and 2 Thomas Scripts. So against grave decks, we are well suited because we have 1 Crypt Main, 2 side. Always, we can say Anger of the Gods always useful against Dredge. So we will be able to fight Dredge pretty efficiently, and also we will be able to fight grave decks efficiently. Ratchet Bomb is mostly for annoying creatures, but also for Chalice and Zero. At that period, we had several decks, and mostly the Weird Prison deck playing Chalice and Zero, and some annoying permanents. So Ratchet Bomb was the pick I did for that tournament. Negate basically for combo decks or for combo decks non-creator based, and also for the control matchups. Of course, Fulminator Mage is for the big mana decks and Tron. And Anger is basically for humans and spirits and other random aggressive decks. And Chalice is really powerful against Phoenix, and Phoenix is one of the main threat we have to face. Also, it's really good against Burn, and our deck is struggling against Burn, so Chalice can save our life, and you will see that Chalice had saved our life several times. So this is basically the deck we were playing. And just before going to the Magicfest, I did, like few weeks ago, I did in my local game store a competitive modern tournament and paper playing the deck. And you have to know, at that period, I had in my deck only 2 Scalding Tarns, just because I didn't have the money to buy the 2 other ones. So what I did is I played that tournament, and as you see, and I will describe it, I won the tournament. And as I won the tournament, I had exactly the right amount of money on my local game store to buy the 2 missing Scalding Tarn. So that's quite a good thing. I just get my 2 missing Scalding Tarn thanks to this win of this competitive tournament. So going to this competitive tournament, I finished for the win a 7-1. So in the 5 rounds before top 8, I did 4-1. I played Black Green Rock, Jeskai Control, and I lost against Jeskai Control. I played John, I played the Classic Living End, and at that period, the Classic Living End was just, we go together for a big Living End, and I Cryptic tap all win. That was pretty the way I won this kind of matchups. And I also won Dredge, and so qualified for the top 8. First match, quarterfinal of the top 8 was Amulet Titan. That was the first time I was facing this deck. At that period, I didn't know exactly what the deck is doing some ways. And I won this one quite weirdly because if I remember well, I won to super death, like timer, and the player has the best amount of life will win. So I think that was the weirdest quarterfinal I did. By the way, I won, and after I faced J-Sky Control, and that was exactly the same J-Sky Control that beat me in the rounds. And I won this time, and what I can say is just I won this one going in the third game, like turn 2, leaving in just for a single street with a winner. And the thing is, Jeskai struggles so much to deal with X-Proof. So I won just with a single street with a winner on the board, and having few remands and stuff to tempo the match, and that's how I won this one. And the last one was against Greentron, and I remember I won quite easily, but Greentron is always one-sided. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lost, and that one was quite easy. So I won the tournament, and that was a great experience for me. Just before going to the Magicfest Bilbao, it was that tournament that turned me in my head, in my brain, like, okay, this is the deck I'm gonna play to next Magicfest because I love it, and winning this event turned me so confident about what the deck is able to do. So before going to the Magicfest Bilbao with my deck and my brand new Scalding Tarns, I just worked a lot, I mean a lot, on the meta I will find in the competition. So here is the time for going to Magicfest Bilbao. So the event took place on the 15 to 17 of March 2019 in Spain, Bilbao. So that was my biggest event ever. I did a GP few years ago, I think, in France. That was also modern. I was playing Top Tier Sword, and I did a record of 5-1, but officially 5-3, and they won, of course, because the last match I draw. So I was officially 5-1, but if I draw this match, none of me or my opponent will go to day 2. So I decided to concede to my opponent because I knew his hand, and I knew he's gonna probably win the match just more than I do. So I decided to concede to my opponent to let him go to day 2 that time, so that was my choice. But anyway, we going back to Bilbao Magicfest. So that was the biggest one for me, and a bit of pressure because also we go to another country and stuff. But that was really cool to see all those people from many places in Europe just come to play Magic together. So that was really cool. I have just to say that about the organization of the event. So let's go directly to the meta of the Magicfest Bilbao. Here you have what I was ready for. This is the official metagame of the event. Of course, after the events. Those stats came from the Channel Fireball article wrote by Frank Carson. And this is exactly how was the meta when I was playing the Magicfest. So I was ready mostly for all those information. I was ready for what I see now. Mostly at that period, Izzet Phoenix was the most played decks. And that was like 21% of the field on all the players, so that's quite a lot. So Izzet Phoenix was a good matchup for us because we can get rid of the Phoenix easy, because mostly if we ain't got the thingy now is bouncing everything, we can just fight it easy, and we have a really powerful sideboard plan against Phoenix. So I came to win against Phoenix, basically. So that was a good call because of how many Phoenix we had in this event. After Humans was a big problem, because Humans was a really terrible matchup because of Middling Mage, because of Phantasmal Mage, because of Thalia, and also because of Freebooter. So I was ready for Humans in sideboard in a way, but that was maybe the matchups I didn't want it to fight, and I fought it once, and you will see that after it will be one of my loss. Burn was really played in that Magicfest, and you will see we will face it a couple of times. And Burn is a bad matchup. We can manage to win, but it's a bad matchup because it's going quite fast on us, and we have a lot of ways to just attack our own life total. So we have to pay really attention playing Burn, but I will talk about it after. Tron was, for me, an even matchup, because sometimes he can just crush you, and sometimes he will do nothing and you just crush him. So that's why it's the only deck here, it's an even matchup for me. After Dredge was quite played, and I was expecting a bunch of Dredge, but I must say we didn't fought a single Dredge in like 15 rounds, and more than 15 rounds actually, because the first day with the last in trials. So I didn't saw any Dredges, and I wanted to fight Dredge because we had a pretty good matchup against Dredge. Rock was a deck we had a good matchup also, and Shadow was a deck we had a terrible matchup because it was only Grixis Shadow, and Grixis Shadow played a bunch of discard with also like this Stubborn Denial, which is really powerful against us, and also playing at that period they were playing like Surgical Extraction in sideboard because Phoenix was everywhere. After UI Control is a pretty good matchup for us because it was quite slow. They didn't had all the weapons they have now. No Teferi Time Robber wasn't printed at that time. So that was a pretty good matchup for us. After that, Affinity as an aggressive matchup. They can go really fast, but in a general way, and after sideboard, that was a quite good matchup. The only thing we have to fear about Affinity was the Argman Ravager, able to sacrifice all the board before we resolve the Living End. But still was a good matchup at this point. We're of Prison. We're Prison was a bad matchup for me because they were playing like 4 Chalice of the Void main, and Chalice of the Void is really annoying because they can put it on 0, and just thanks to this, just stop our combo pretty effectively. And after they are also playing like 2-3 Ensnaring Breach. Also the top, if some are playing top tier sword combo, some not. And if they are playing top tier sword combo, the thing is when you're living end, you're not able to kill the artifacts, so they can go after for top tiers after you're living end to block and win some lives. So that was bad matchups for us. Titan Shift was a really good matchup. We run a bunch of counter spells at that period that was not that speed to win. So that was quite a nice matchup for us if we can fight Titan Shift. After Spirits is one of the worst matchup we could have because Spellquatter is a beating and mostly Mausoleum Wanderer is a beating, as is Thalia, and at that period they were playing Thalia in the deck, I think so, and as I remember. Ardent Scales was not really around at that period, but it was already a bad matchup because of Angerback Walker and things they can sacrifice with Argbound Ravager and other things. So they basically can sacrifice things in response to our living end. And as they are most on the value plan, aggressive value plan than Affinity is, Ardent Scale was actually more difficult than Affinity was. And finally, Ad Nauseam. Okay, I wasn't expected that deck, and I didn't thought it in the GP, unfortunately, because I think this deck is complicated to manage for us because they are being quite fast. We need our counter spells. We get only 4 remains, 2 negate, and we get the cryptics, but usually cryptics could be a little bit late, especially on a draw. So that's it. And after the other decks, like we can count like some Boggles, some Infect, some other Titan decks, some Elves, some Storm, and things. That was 19.5% of the meta. So you can see this. And so I knew that, so I built my sideboard according to the meta I was expecting. So that's how my sideboard looked like. Here it is. So in sideboard we had 4 copies of Chalice of the Void, as I say, 2 copies of Tumult Script, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 3 copies of Fulminator Mage, 2 copies of Negate, 2 copies of Wretched Bomb. Why Chalice of the Void? We played Chalice of the Void because it was effective against a bunch of decks. That was effective against Phoenix first, because Phoenix is one of the most played deck at that period. We have to be able to fight Phoenix, otherwise we probably die. After Eidolon of the Great Revel means like burn. So Chalice is good like against burn. Of course, it's not stopping everything, but it's just not about stopping all the things they can do. It's just winning enough time to win the game by our own. But also we can just, if we have the time, go 1 Chalice on 1, 1 Chalice on 2, and after it will be really complicated for them because they can just secure the critics and maybe cast like art cast like Rift Bolt or something, and that's it. After Death Shadow decks, like of course 4C Shadow, Jund Shadow, but at that period that was more about Grixis Shadow. So that's good against Grixis Shadow. If you can reach the goal to not be discarded, to not be countered, and put the Chalice in 1, you're probably gonna win this match. It's good against Ad Nauseam because even a Split Second is countered by the trigger of Chalice of the Void, and that's pretty powerful to have. And you can also put it on 0 for the packs after you resolve your thing, of course, because we are also playing 0 mana cost spells. Ardent Scale, it's still good, you can put it on 1, but the best way to fight Ardent Scale is getting to the point you put this thing on 2. After, it's really powerful against other marginal decks of the meta, like it's really powerful against Elf, against Boggles, against Infect, and also against Storm. If you put on 1, it's nice. If you put on 2 against Storm, usually it's game. Combat Script is really good against Arc-like Phoenix, of course. Quite good against Death Shadow. We can have a shot for it. Really good against Dredge. Really good against Ardent Scales, because if we go to Combat Script and we resolve Living End and they got Argbound Ravager, we can just prevent the things from coming after we resolve the Living End. So that's pretty nice. Of course, it's also good against Storm. You all know about Passing Flame. Anger of the God was good against the 2 aggressive decks, creatures based. It's good against humans. It's good against Spellqueller, and is really important. So after this event, I put like 3 in my sideboard instead of 2. We'll see that later. It's really good against Dredge because it's exile all of the creatures on the board. Really powerful. It's also okay against Burn. Also okay against Affinity, and really good against Elves, and okay against Infect. So that's a card we can use against many matchups. For Fulminator Mages, the good thing is we can destroy things, go Living End, re-destroy things, so we can destroy a bunch of lands. Of course, the first target is Tron. Second target was Amulet Titan, and maybe after Titan Shift, but mostly Amulet Titan. Against Titan Shift is more about just winning sometimes and get it. but mostly we already have the matchup against Titan Shift, so that's it. Negate was nice against combo decks like Inosium, was also nice against all the Planeswalkers that Tron was running at this time against like control decks for like UI control. Also good against artifact-based deck, like you can counter any Weir of Invention or something against Weird Prison, and it could be also or include against Storm to prevent the combo from happening. After we got Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb was pretty good against Weir of Invention because at that period the Mox Opal was legal and opponent was playing Chalice. And of course, couple of Thomas Crypt or something like that. So we can just put it on for 2 and just crack it directly to get rid of the chalices and things at the right moment. So that's why I choose to play this. Also, we can just have it on 1 to kill some Death Shadow, and that's pretty powerful. We can put it to get rid of the annoying permanence on ring creators, even if it's a little bit too slow against against spirits and humans. And of course, it's really powerful against Slippery Bottle and against Infect, because you can mostly kill the creatures, the Infect creatures, and the X-Proof creatures with this. So that's it for how I choose to sideboard in that tournament. So now we're gonna go straight to the day number 1. I arrived in Bilbao. That was the day before the big tournament, before the main event. And here we are, day 1. So I arrived alone. My friends joined later, and I arrived alone in the Magicfest Bilbao Center to play my deck for day 1. And I wanted to go for the last chance trial to reach the goal to get 2 buys for the main event the day after. So I came with my deck. I bought my tickets to enter the competition, and that's it. I tried the first one. I was so happy and a bit impressed to be there. And the first last chance trial I tried, I played against Affinity. I thought Affinity will be an okay matchup, but my opponent just surprised me game 1 because it was playing Spellpierce main deck. And at that period, some Affinity just play like Spellpierce in sideboard, but that guy was playing it like 2 or 3 copies main decks. That was really uncommon for an aggressive Affinity deck, but my opponent did that, and when I thought I won his Spellpierce, and I had literally nothing in my hand, and they got little back, so they just crushed me. And after sideboard, they managed to win thanks to sideboard cards. I don't remember exactly, but the thing is, sure, I remember so much this Spellpierce main deck from this Affinity player. So, last chance trial is the single elimination. So, when you lose, you're done. You have to win 3 times or being done to lose the first one. Second last chance trial, I faced first match Grixis Shadow, one of the worst matchup. I managed to win the first game pretty easily. My opponent was surprised about the deck, I remember. And for the 2 others, I got discarded, extracted my living end, I think both times. At that period, we didn't have any force of negation or any ways to go for it. Chalice coming turn 2, so they have the time to go for it before if they got a discard, and they did that 2 times, so they managed to win easy like this. So lost again. I was a bit depressed at that moment. Let's try again, and I thought it would be the last time I try for the day because I was tired from the trip and everything. So I tried last chance trial number 3. I faced a black-green rock. I remember because the guy was not speaking English. That was so complicated. He was not speaking even French or English or Spanish. I don't remember what the nationality was, but none of those languages. I think it was like East European country. And it was playing Black-Green Rock, and Black-Green Rock is pretty much a pretty good matchup, so I just won easily 2-0. And after we faced Titan Shift, and I was pretty sure I'm gonna win because that's a good matchup, but my opponent got the best end and best beginning of the game ever. It just have everything. So they managed to win like so speed, and we didn't have the land or the things to counter this. So I lost again. So I was quite depressed, and at that moment I called my friends. Will arrive in Spain, and I say, when did you arrive? I want to eat together because I lost 3 and just won 1, so I'm quite depressed. So I want to be ready for tomorrow and forget about today. They said, okay, but we arrive in a couple of times. You still have time to stay a bit and play. And the thing is, I didn't have any place to stay, so I decided to stay. And I said, okay, I will do the last chance trial of the day, and I did it. And I faced U-right control at first against a French player, actually also an arbiter in some tournaments, and I managed to win quite easily because my opponent didn't know my deck, and I know about how to play against U-right control and win the control war, and I did. Second round, I had the surprise to see I had a buy for the win and the second round. So I was so surprised. Oh wow, how that's it possible in a trial? But simple. We were just like not an even number. So one people have to get a buy anyway. And actually I learned some people who won the 2 first round had the buy for the last one and just win the 2 buys for the main event thanks to the last buy of the trial, because we are an odd number of players. So I had to buy, so I was 2-0, and finally I met Phoenix at the end, and I won Phoenix 2-1 thanks to my sideboard techs and Chalice of the Void. So I finished this day like 4-3 and get 2 buys for the main events. So it was a difficult beginning of the day, but pretty good at the end. So that was it for day 1. And let's move to the day number 2 when the main event will take place. So this is the day 2 of my trip in Spain. And this is also the day 1 of the main event Magicfest Bilbao. So I entered the pretty okay to the day 1 because I had 2 buys, so I just hanging out, seeing what people playing, seeing my friends playing. During the 2 first round, I was quite happy. I'm beginning like 2-0. That was cool. So after I just go for the round number 3, and first match for the round number 3 was Izzet Phoenix. And I was quite happy at first because I thought, okay, Izzet Phoenix is a matchup I should win because I trained a lot to win this match. Unfortunately, things never gone as I wished. They just crushed me 0-2 quite fast. I don't all remember everything about the match. I just remember I lost fast and I didn't understood how it was possible, but I lost it. So I was kind of under pressure because I lost it quite speed, so I had the time to wait for round number 4 and to think about what happened. And when round number 4 begin, I sit down and I see my opponents playing Goblin Guy into the 1, so it's burned. So in my head it's say, okay, it's gonna be complicated. But I managed to win this game. I was on the play, and I remember I did just a really fast living end first game, like going with street race. No, don't care about cycling, but going with a big living end early, and 2 turns clock, and my opponent put me like at 3 or 4 life total, but I won't be 4. He will be able to kill me. Game number 2, I think I don't remember if it is in that match I used for the first time the Chalice, but maybe I did. And the thing is, Chalice is really powerful to win us the time exactly to kill my opponent. So that was my first victory. So I was 3-1. So I say, okay, that's pretty good. After going to round number 5, my opponent goes Mountain Goblin Guide again. Okay, so burn again, and this time that was, I must say, that was quite fast. I think I just crushed him on living end with a bunch of creatures 2 times. I remember I didn't play Chalice on this one. I just go too fast for them, and they ain't got a fast start enough. So I finished this round 2-0. So I was at this point 4-1. So that was a pretty decent record, but okay. So here it comes round number 6. And round number 6 was against Green Tron. So I was a bit under pressure because I know Tron is able to do crazy stuff, and he did, because the first game he just crushed me like Tron, natural 23, play stuff, big stuff, I can't do nothing, exile your land and stuff. That was like, I did nothing. But in the 2 other games, I managed to win because my opponents choose to board Gravedigger's Cage in and to slam it on the board with a medium end, thinking it's gonna work. For all the players watching this video, Gravedigger's Cage not working against Living End because creatures coming from exile and not from the grave. So it's putting it on the board. I said, okay, that's okay. But I didn't say that it's not working, because I want to keep my opponent in the state of mind that I can't do nothing, because he thinks he's protected with his Gravedigger's Cage. So he thinks he had the time. So I managed to do my thing. And when I go for the Living End, oh, he said, oh, it's working. If you want, I can call a judge. But I explained to him why it's working. He said, okay, you're right. I was wrong. It's working. So I won to a lethal Living End thanks to this. And the last game was just about going multiple full Manator Mage with Living End, destroyed again. I remember my opponent get a point, he gets no lands, he just conceded to being no lands, and faced like 2 or 3 activation of full Manator Mage. And after this, I was 5-1, so I needed just one more win over the 2 next rounds to go day 2, because to go day 2 and Magicfest you have to be 6-2 at least. And I saw my pairing, and I saw the name, and I said, wow, this name, I know about this name, I don't know where it is. So I asked one of my friends, like, hey, next turn against a Golgolsky, you remember, I remember this name, what is it? Who is belonging to? They, oh, this is Canister, this is one of the best player in the world, one of the best builder in the world, and Tuesday is basically the guy who built the Where Present deck is going now. So the odds that he's playing Where Present are really high. So I was a bit under pressure because that was the first time I was playing against a pro player. So I was a bit under pressure because I know he will play so well. So I remember one of the things I thought in my mind, say, I have to win the first game because he will not be aware about what I'm playing, because my deck is not that common. So it's an advantage against a pro player who worked probably on all the other decks. So I sit down in front of him, is saying nothing and just playing, and he goes turn 1, Mox, bubble, land, Chalice on 1, go, or something like this. I remember he did Chalice on 1 turn, and I put my land and pass the turn, and I say I cycle a thing. So Chalice on 1 is really useless against it. So he was so surprised about it, and he used a lot of his hand to put this on the board. That's why I'm not sure that was the bubble he played twice, but I'm pretty sure he gets the Chalice on 1 first turn. And I managed to Living End quite fast, and he was not able to deal with it. And the second game was like, of course I was afraid because I knew he would understood that he have to get Chalice on 0. He was playing some 4 Weir of Invention, so he can get easy Chalice on 0 anyway. And at that time we were playing and stuff, and I remember I won. I get to the point I resolved the Living End, and he had an Ensnaring Bridge. I think I bounced the Ensnaring Bridge back in his hand or something, and after, in my turn, I put a Ratchet Bomb because he also had a Chalice on 0, I think. And Ratchet Bomb surprised him because he can't do nothing about it, and I just had to wait the right moment to do my Living End, so it was the contrary. I first had to blow the Chalice before playing the Living End and dealing with the Ensnaring Bridge, sorry. And I dealt with it, and he tried when I was... He didn't replay the bridge after this, And when I tried to attack for lethal, he just did a Wheel of Invention for another bridge, and I had just at this turn I drew the negate sideboard card, and I negated and won the match against Piotr Gogolski, aka Canister. So that was a main memory for me because that was my first pro player match and I won it 2-0. And that was the match who bring me to the day 2. So that was quite amazing to live that. So I wanted to share it with you. And the last match of day 1 was the round 8 and it was against Band Spirit. We were both at 7-1. So sorry, at 6-1. So both of us will go to day 2, no problem. But I played Band Spirits and that's one of the worst matchups. I remember I lost the first game quite speed. I was afraid. I also remember I managed to win the second one quite easily, and the third one was actually nowadays it was my most epic Magic game ever because the game was so close. My opponent got 2 bunch of things on the board, and I did a play. It was a long time ago, so I don't have anything. But I just remember I saved my life once doing the tricks of the Cryptic Tolaya. Like end of turn, my opponent's attacking. I said I tap all your creatures, taking my own Tolaya West I played in the beginning of the game back in my hand, and it's my turn. I had an Asphotold. I take my Tolaya West, transmute, got a living in your things. I have few things on the board. And I remember at some points, we were both at 1 life. And we had also a little trouble with judges. And that was my first time having at that high level some problem about judges. But my opponent was quite fair. It's at some points, at the end of a turn, he just a card in hand, but I wanted to draw so bad. So end of the turn, I did Cryptic to draw a card, and I wanted to do other things, so I choose to bounce something. And I say, okay, bounce your land, I get other things to bounce. But my opponent had a vial, but that vial was hid a little bit by his graveyard, and he didn't use the vial since a couple of turns, so I didn't saw it. So I say, bounce your land and draw a card. And before drawing my card, I say, okay, oh, is your vial on the board? He said, yes. And I say, oh, sorry, I forgot. Of course I bounced the vial. It's far better. My opponent say, oh, you already named what you bounced today. So we call the judges. And at the end of the day, I had the game for me because the judges said, okay, he didn't even resolve the spell because he didn't draw the card. So if he draws the card and declare the targets, I said no, roll back. But as I didn't draw the card and I said I didn't saw the vial, of course, the judges got on my side. So that was a bit story. And the end of this game was quite epic. I had on my board an Asphotold with 3 counters. Also have 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I have like 6 lands. And my opponent was at 1, I was at 1. And he had just a Selfless Spirits. And he couldn't attack me the last turn. So next turn I may be dead. And what I did is I drew for my turn. And I see this is an Asphotold, and I had just a remand in my hand. And what I did, okay, Asphotold has 3 counters. So I will play Asphotold with Asphotold, keeping priority, remanding my own Asphotold, draw a card. I drew a Izzet Electro-End. I tapped 2 for the remand, so still have 4 mana, and I just cycled the Electro-End, and I drew Electrodominance, tap 3, burn you for 1, and win the game, and win the match. That was epic, because I was also at 1 life. That was really epic. So that's how I get like 7-1 for the day 1. And as you maybe know, now in Magicfest, the day 2 takes place, the first round of the day 2 takes place at the day 1. So I was still on my day 2, but it was my day 1. It was already day 2. So you understand, I think. And I thought an Izzet Phonics player was really good. I don't remember the name, but I wanted to name it because that player was quite good. And I managed to win this one because I won the first one, he won the second one, and the last one was about a chalice game, and he couldn't beat the chalice I put in the board. He did a nice tricks to me about the rules of Magic I didn't knew. So at some point he said, end of turn, discard. He discarded because he had too much card in hand. And I said, okay, I cycle. And he said, okay, no, I already discarded because it's the discard phase. We passed the end of the end step phase. And he was right, actually. But the problem is, the judges said it's going too speed to say end of the turn. But no rollback for me this time. But no warning for me because I tried to cycle. And I drew the card, so the judges managed to not rolling back in my favor this time. So I think I had a warning on this. For sure I had a warning about it, but I didn't know about it. So my opponent's goes 2 speed, so I had a warning. Maybe we both had one, I don't remember. And I managed to win this one, so I finished this day 1 of the Magicfest and day 2 of my trip. 8-1 going to day 2. So I was quite under pressure. I didn't sleep the night before going to day 2 because I knew with that record I'm able to do something real, and that's what you're gonna discover in the report of the next day you're gonna see right now. That's it. Day 3 of my trip and day 2 of the Magicfest Bilbao. I arrived the morning. I didn't sleep a lot because I was worried, but not too tired. I was ready for my thing. And my first match was Humans. And Humans is a pretty bad matchups. And I got just crushed by 2 times Talia on turn 2. I managed to win, I remember, not the first. I managed to win the second game. Thanks to Touch the Anger of the Gods. But I didn't touch it in the last game, so that's why I lost so easily. And after I faced, so I was at that moment I was like 8-2, and I knew if I want to have some chance to top 8 the main event, I have to be at least 13-2. If it's not 14-1, but I think 13-2 is doing it. It could do it, especially because I won a lot of the match the first day. After this, I faced again Burn. That was the third time I faced Burn. And I was about to win the last game of our match. And what happened is my opponent just top deck Smash Smothering on my Chalice on 1 and managed to win. I had the kill on the board and he just top deck this. I don't remember how, with which card, but it just top deck this. And if he didn't top deck that, he was dead. So he just top deck 2 for the win. I was quite sad because I said, oh, that's burning. It's the case. Burning my chances to go like top 16 or top 8 at the best. So I was quite mad about it. And after round number 12, guess what? Burn again. Burn again. So I was, okay, that's the 4th burn, 2nd burn I faced at the same time. Okay. And this one, I won the first game exactly like going really fast living end, and my opponent didn't see it coming. And second game, that was funny because that was like a long one. I put Chalice on 1, and after I reached to get Chalice on 2, my opponent was really slowing down. I was low on life, but I didn't find my kill. And at the end, I finished like not my kill first. I just put Chalice on 3, and I have Chalice on 1, 2, and 3. So that was funny because when I put Chalice on 3, you say, okay, I can't do nothing. Say, okay, I just have to wait for my kill, and you're gonna be dead. Sure. So it conceded to this, and I won this one. And after, I was called for the featured match. Unfortunately, that was not filmed, but I was called for featured match. And when my opponent did Mountain Goblin Guide, I was like, what the hell? 5th burn and the 3rd of the day with no break. Come on. And it turns like I got the match. I don't remember exactly how. I think I won one of the game with Chalice and others just going faster than my opponent's going. That was quite close matches, but I managed to 1-1. And that's the moment when I was playing on the featured match. I saw a guy just watching my game. And when I finished, I was talking with my opponent, and that was a guy with a staff shirt, and just told me, Har, can we talk a bit about your deck and stuff after the match? And I said like, okay, just finish to talk with my opponent, and I did like, okay, something like this. And after, one of my friend came to me and said, do you know who is the guy you told that? That's Frank Karsten, that one of the best statistics guy of Magic and one of the Channel Fireball staff and really good player. And you just say like, okay. So I was, oh damn, what I did. But after, he was so friendly, he came to me, he said, oh, no problem, I understand you were in the feature match, it was a great moment for you. And I wanted to, and he just interviewed me about my deck. We did a quiet video, he posted on Twitter, you will see that after. And he wrote about my deck on his article about the GP. So I was so proud about this, I must say, and so happy that that guy say like my deck and what I did is a real metacle and real deal. So we will see that at the end. That was a good moment. After round number 14, I fought a UI control player who was really a poker face UI control player, not saying nothing, really focused. And UI is a good matchup, so I managed to cast my spell at the right moment and to have the things well done. So I want to owe nothing to tell about it. Last match, round number 15, was against Screentron again, and I beat this guy, and he is the only opponent I had in this Magicfest who was quite mad at me when he lost, I remember. But that's life. So I finished this day like 12-3. Over all the players, I already said it, I finished like 23rd over 1,615 people with this record, and I took like just $400 cash, so that was quite nice. It's like just I traveled for free in Spain. So that's after this event. I had a lot of things when I came back in France. People just want to ask me about the deck and stuff. My local game store talked about the results on the website and stuff. So that was the most important experience for me in Magic. And that was with that deck. So I wanted to share with you. I know I should have done this report way before. So that's just the storytelling. As now I reached the goal that the deck is more played. A few people are interested by it. So I didn't thought my story was so much interesting or not. Maybe it's still not. You can be judged about it. But I wanted to share that moment with you and watching this one. So after this, I must say, this is it. This is what the Frank Karsten wrote about me. So during the event, he interviewed me on Twitter, and I talked about the build of the deck and how I feel it. He said I was the only player in day 2 of MTG Bilbao, was exploring Electrodominance mode, and I posted an impressive 12-3 finished. He posted also my deck list, and said like the Electrodominance newly printed in the Ravnica Allegiance adds a lot of consistency to a strategy that was overly reliant on as foretold before. In Bilbao, already concealed, so me was the only player who was exploiting Electrodominance in day 2, and he had a great result to show for it. A standout card in Olivia's sideboards was the Chalice of the Void. A Chalice in 1 doesn't hurt this deck at all because it contains 0/1 mana spells, and the artifacts helped him to beat several bronze decks over the course of the weekend. So I love to see that now, and hope it will be the case for other tournaments. We'll see that. And I just want to finish by a shout out to a French player who won the Magicfest Bilbao. It was Guillaume Matignon. He was piloting the modern Izzet Phoenix best deck, of course, and he won the top 8 on this tournament. I just wanted to shout out to a French player who won a big event, even if it was now close to 2 years ago. So to finish, I hope you enjoyed what I said. So now I will let you with 2 matches about this deck. I will play in a nowadays meta game the deck I was playing at that period with the deck list I show you. So I hope you enjoyed the story. Now it's time for the match, and enjoy it. If you enjoy it, I say it right now, you can just subscribe to the channel, like the video, join us on Twitch, join me on the Discord you can find in the description of the video. So let's see you for another video and another episode of the ElectroEnd Chronicles. Let's go for the matches. Hope you enjoyed. Hey, this is still MTG Adventures, and we are playing the old school style ElectroEnd back in the Bilbao time. So, question is, will we like this or not? Depends what my opponent's playing. This end could be nice. The 2 cryptic command in the first end is not that ideal. I may mulligan this one. This one looks better. I think I'm gonna keep it. But I still don't know what I want to get rid of. Probably Ancestral Vision here, because we ain't got blue to suspend it turn 1. So I think we're gonna keep and probably get rid of Ancestral Vision, which is the most reasonable things to do. We're gonna go for first cycling this, see what we get. We get some blue, so a bit of regret about what we did before. We can't do nothing, so I think from there we're gonna go Cascade Bluff and yell for this turn. Opponent's playing also blue and red. So from there we play an island. We get a remand, which is nice. Opting. Opponent's playing island. Sleight of hand. Looks like maybe it's Storm. We don't know. It's taking its time to do its sleight of hand. So end of turn. Stats say we have to do blue at this period because we get more odds to draw blue cyclers than red cyclers, but sometimes you get screwed by this. That's why nowadays we are playing only blue cyclers. It feels just better. And we just lose the mana we invest here. Another one feels pretty okay. We're gonna go for red source. Or more Skellington looks better. We're gonna wait with our remand up. One's going Pyromancer Ascension. Okay, so question is, do we want to go to counter this? Now, I think we do want to cycle first. Cycle another time. And we get another remand, so maybe we let resolve the Pyromancer Ascension. Fetch here, search for island. Do red. Electrodominance ourselves. Go living end. Resolve the living end with 4 creatures. Opponent looks like he ain't got another land. Or maybe he hide it. But no, I think he ain't got another land. So goal from here is keeping 2 remands up. And hope those 2 remands will buy us the game. We play a mountain. And we will attack with those 4 creatures. And my opponent just conceded. Okay. So let's go for a second game. As it's a Pyromancer Ascension. At the period we had 4 Chalices of the Void, so that's pretty powerful. 2 Tiamat Crypt, also pretty powerful. Already get 1 main. Negate looks okay. Maybe Anger is good in case they are playing Young Pyromancer, but we're not too concerned about it. I think we can cut some Cryptics. We can cut some Ancestral Visions. We also can cut few remands, especially on a draw. We will... I don't feel I will cut a lot of those guys. Get 1 as foretold. I think Cryptic as a one-off could be okay. And we'll try to base everything on this Chalice and Talmud script, because Pyromancer Ascension is really affected by those kind of cards. This end is not good. We're gonna mulligan it. This one looks better. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna get rid of the Izzet Electro-End. And that's it. We have decent chance to get the Chalice on the board turn 2, which is a good thing. I'm probably gonna play like some kind of that's not that bad. We're gonna pass the turn directly. The trick you have to know with the Pyromancer Ascension is, even if I chalice the Pyromancer Ascension, if they get the counters, it's gonna resolve Thing in the Eyes. Thing in the Eyes is not a problem, actually. So we're gonna let, of course, resolve Thing in the Eyes. And we just hope we just hope that we're gonna draw a land at some point. If we draw a land, we're probably gonna win on the spot. Another challenge is not bad, but not good enough. We need just another land. We ain't got a land on the two first draws. So will we? Yes, we got it on the last draw. So I think my opponent will have to face this chalice on one. And next turn, probably gonna be living end time because we don't want this thing in the eyes to flip, or we just let the thing in the eyes flip, and right after we go for the living end. That's another option could be considered. But now with a chalice in one, my opponent just have to bet on the triggers. They go Metamorphosis. They will draw a card. That's completely okay. So that's funny because it's like we are playing nowadays against the Phoenix deck without Phoenix. It's exactly the same kind of thing. So it depends if we draw land or not. My opponent's got 4 cards in hand. We got, I think we can cycling this one main phase. See what if we get a land. If we get a land, we will think about living in now. I think we're gonna cycle this Electroden, and we're gonna be grindy by just waiting another turn before leaving end. If my opponents flip thing in the ice, which is something they're gonna for sure do, I think it's gonna be good for us because they're gonna attack for 7, yes, but we will have the Electrodominance following. All is about what my opponent's choosing to keep. If he's going for another creature, it's perfect. Snapcaster Mage looks quite perfect for us because it's gonna flashback something to flip the thing in the eyes. Snapcaster is gonna come back in hands for sure, but I think we will be good for our living end. We're gonna be take a hit of 7. We have to go main phase because we don't want to eat any remand or something. We can eat a Force of Negation, but the risk that we eat a 2 mana spell counterspell, I think is higher. They get just 4 cards in hand, so we're gonna play Leaving End. Thing in the eye is gone. Now we have to hold it this turn. But if they want to go for another thing in the eyes, yes, we won this match. It's so nice to play this match against like the kind of nowadays Phoenix. Without Phoenix and Faceless Looting is a little bit worse. But so we won this first match with this old school style ElectroEnd deck. Let's do second one. Hey, second match with this old school style ElectroEnd deck. This end looks pretty good. We're gonna keep it. And one time, let's play Mountain first. Totally eyed my opponent what I'm playing. But as we get the Cascade Bluff, I think it's more reasonable. Probably we're gonna be it. We're gonna hit. Oh no, no discard. Maybe it's a mill deck. No, it's a Delver deck. So we are playing an old school version, and looks like my opponent's also playing some old school style. with cycling. We get a second Street Level Wonder, which is pretty good. We're gonna go for Cascade Bluff because we want to be able to emergency living in or Ghost Retrieval Winder and Cycling Corridor Mysteries. Also, my one flipped his guy, so let's take the 8. And now, goal is simple. We have to figuring out how to pass our thing. How to go for our thing when my opponent is less able to counter it. So one of the things we can do is using this ancestral vision some ways to force my opponent to use something end of turn. We're gonna play an island and we're gonna wait the end of my opponent's turns. We're gonna be attacked by this insect. That's 3 damages, not that much. End of the turn, we're gonna go for 3 because we don't want to eat a spell snare. We're gonna go for Electrodominance for 1, my opponent, and try to Ancestral Vision. Oh, they choose to counter Electrodominance. That's something quite interesting. We drew a Spire Block Canal, which is not ideal. They probably got some Spell Pierce. We're gonna spend the Ancestral Vision and play another Cascade Bluff. And we're gonna try main phase, I think so, to go for it again. They may have something. Opponent is fetching. If it's just countering the Electrodominance, that's a main mistake. He will counter the Electrodominance, which is a mistake. No more Electrodominance for us. So we'll have to wait to find another way to play our living end. The Ancestral Vision to suspend will come in a long time. We'll have to wait a long time before having this. All those lands is not what we want. And here we see the problem we have with this, with this deck we are playing is we are not playing Force of Negation, and Force of Negation is one of the best weapon we have in this deck, because my opponents will just kill me now, because we can't protect our things as efficiently as we wanted. So we had negates. We will board negates. I think we also will board Chalice of the Void. We will board out what? 1 Zero, 1 Street Race, 1 Cryptic, 1 As Foretold, 1 Remand, 1 Ancestral Vision, and go like this. I may want to keep one remand and get one less cryptic. See if we can manage to do something efficient. Yes, we keep. Opponent's mulligan into 6 card. Here we want to go fast, so opponent get a blue and probably got a Delver secret. That's perfectly okay for me. If I get an Electrodominance now, I had probably go for it right now, but I don't think it will be useful. So now I get nothing else to do, so I'm gonna cycle to see something. And as I ain't get something useful, I think I'm gonna just go for the Scalding Torrent and to have less chance to draw lands next turn. Opponent's gonna go for an opt main phase. So in upkeep. My opponents will have a Steam Vance, gonna came untapped. Probably means like they got a Spell Pierce. Pretty sure they got a Spell Pierce. It can be bluffing the Spell Pierce too, but I think they got it, so it depends. If I draw a second Asphodel, no, it's not the case. So I think I will play a Montaigne. As I got nothing else to do, I will transmute to our west. Take a Chalice of the Void. And pass the turn. Thing is the Delver is not flipping. Second Delver makes me want to go EV on the Living in Plan. Okay, so we got a land. So that makes me want to wait. Keeping Cryptic up. Next turn, going for Chalice. And after going as foretold. I think it's the best strategy here. The chances those guys will flip are high, and 6 is a lot, so we may want a Cryptic to tap draw. My opponent may want to counter. If he wants to counter this, it will feel like we're gonna go the turn right after for Chalice of the Void and for As Foretold. No flip for my opponent's Delver, which is nice. They probably drew lands. We'll took this to we got no block. We're gonna cycle search for an island. here the goal will be to slow my opponents down for next turn. So as they didn't land yet, we're gonna return this in hand and just draw a card. I will slow them down by land or force them to just use a counter spell. And we do this in attack because my opponent didn't land at first, so that's better to do this right now. Because they can land one time each turn, as you all know. So they probably have struggled to think what they're gonna do with this because it's really annoying for them. Oh, they let resolve it. Okay. So no fourth lands for my opponent. Just third. Team Van's gonna come and tap. So here we go. Chalice on 1. Protected from Spell Pierce. Spell Snare is kind of annoying. Really annoying. Because we can't do nothing about Spell Snare. That's really clever from my opponent. I think if we go now, we're gonna be hit by a counter spell. But they didn't flip this, so they didn't found any instant sorceries. I feel we're gonna wait one more turn to have the remand up. No flip, so that means no instant sorcery. So what they are drawing? They should play a bunch of instant sorceries in the deck. It means like 3 last turns they didn't draw any instant sorceries. I don't know what drew. And no lands. So they drew creatures, right? What the hell they drew? So here is the goal. We go as foretold right now with a remand up and the ability to pay if it's Pierce. Ionize. That's interesting, but not gonna work. Full technique. Ionize. Go for Steam Vents. Oh no, no casting. Cycling this guy. And let's go Living End. And pass the turn. Next turn will be Ancestral Vision. That's one of the only thing I regret about this old version is the feeling of casting Ancestral Vision through as foretold is amazing. Casting Ancestral Vision through Electrodominance is not that nice. Okay, Girdle Snipe. Nice. Nice. But if you ain't got lands, Girdle Snipes will not help. So we go for a Mountain. You have less chance to... No, we're gonna go for it right now. We're gonna go Ancestral Vision on myself. We get a Sweet Race. And to remand, we're gonna transmute all our West. Get a Scry. We don't care about this Scry because we're transmuting. Searching for a Chalice. Playing Chalice. Problem is, the gutter snipe saying each time my opponent just laying is casting, so they have to cast a bunch of spells, but it's a lot of spells to cast. I may have had to be reasonable, and oh, that was a mistake. I should have kept this Corridor of Mysteries down. They have to kill me now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have to play actually 3 spells. They have to play 3 instant and sorcery spells, basically. If they get 3 in hand, that's okay for them. And we will lose just because I was too... I did too fast by just playing... Oh, Snapcaster looks very good for us. They want to play anything, but I think Snapcaster gonna get remanded. This spell's not gonna do it. We're gonna take a hit, but I don't think it's gonna save my opponent. Another Ancestral Vision is a really good thing to see. So from there, as they get just 1 blocker, they may have forgot that this spell gonna be countered. Yes, my opponent conceded. So let's go to game number 3. Since the way we side is pretty okay, we can go like this. That's a decent hand. We're gonna keep a little bit too much lands, but my hand's saying Ancestral Vision to 1, so always good to have. Okay, so now, but we get the Cascade block, so we can just fetch for an island. Island, Ancestral Vision suspended. Because it's not working working into Electrodominance for Ancestral Vision, usually. It's only when you have it in turn 1. I prefer to keep this in my hand. If they go for something like Young Pyromancer, it's gonna be perfect for us. Yes. I called it. I called it. So Ancestral Vision down for the of 1. Another one is not bad. But now for sure we're gonna fetch for another island. And here we get the Cascade Bluff, so we don't care a lot. We're gonna play the Chalice. And the thing is, they can cast spells and do some guys, but we got Living End, so we just have to wait a little bit. Second Living End. Cascade Bluff. So we're gonna wait. I don't want to waste this Electrodominance. Currently, my opponent just don't know that he can just go for forecasting things to get some guys on the board. The weirdest thing here is we ain't got any cyclers, and that's kind of weird. So maybe the end of the next turn we're gonna go for ancestral. Oh, my opponent's not in his best mood now, because I think he probably have some things to cast in hand. We're gonna take 4. And I think I will Ancestral Vision now. Why? Because I think on 2 Ancestral Vision, the odds that I will draw cyclers, and if I waste this Ancestral Vision, the this Electrodominance, the other Ancestral Vision will resolve. The mana cost is 4. I just fear like mana leak. Remand is not a big problem. The only problem is mana leak over there. At this point, we're gonna play Ancestral Vision on me. Okay, we're gonna draw a bunch of cards. And we're gonna draw another bunch of cards. On me. Our opponent doesn't want me to draw it. Mystical Dispute is kind of okay. We will be able to take care of this Mystical Dispute by paying 3. Maybe my opponent's got another one. It's something possible. Yes, they have a second dispute. No, Spell Pierce, but it's gonna be countered. All is about what we're gonna draw with this. Okay, we draw a bunch of things, but unfortunately not what we wanted to draw. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're getting closer to be dead. So playing that, doing red blue, cycling red, cycling blue. We are not drawing that good. That only Electrodominance we had was maybe a key. We're gonna let it go for 1, 2 cards. So that's sad, but my opponent's got a shot here. He will maybe crush us because we ain't got any Asphalt Hold or any Electrodominance through what we drew, and that's keeping going. So if we can't resolve the Living End now, we are basically dead. So I think we're gonna go for fetching. Get what? Get a Mountain. We're cycling this thing because 1 or 3 doesn't make difference without any. Oh, that's really not what we want. We cycle through the winter. Last shot for us. And after none of... Oh, yes, we got it. But the problem is we have to do it right now. And my opponent have to not having any counter spell. I don't see... we can't land anyway. We already landed, right? So I have to go now and see what's gonna be. I don't know any counterspell asking me for paying 2. I'm not playing it. It's just about they have mana leak or not. If they got it, they got it. They got mana leak, so they got the game. They got the game. So GG's for my opponent. Delver is doing it. That's probably one of the best matchup we have, especially with Chalice No 1. But you saw how many cards we drew, and no chance, you know. So the thing is, like with Ancestral Vision, it's really cool, but you never know what you're gonna draw, what it's gonna do. But when you are drawing the new version, the Rhinos, you know you can go to the game right now at this moment. Now with one Chalice of 1, that was crazy that we didn't draw anything relevant before, and we drew it at the end, but they get it to spell. So what we can do? So that's why, and we also ain't got any Force of Negation to try their turns to go, and more blue cards. So no problem. Yes, we concede.